Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. This is live stream 1208. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out it's super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then usually I will take a first look at a game, maybe do an unboxing or page through a role-playing game release. Every once in a while, we'll tackle a topic related to the hobby, and every blue moon or so, we just chat, just hang out, and I just answer questions and just hang out with the chat. But tonight, we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Horde Wars Advanced from Blackwall Games. Last night I had mentioned that because I didn't have the book downstairs with me, it was upstairs. I said, I think it's a skirmish level miniatures game. It is not. It is a medieval fantasy role-playing game. So I wanted to clear that up in case you are thinking, oh, hey, we're going to take a look at some miniatures rules. No, we're going to take a look at a fantasy role-playing game. Yes. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. It's not on screen, one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. Yet another way I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But, of course, if you want to say howdy, if you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight, wishing everybody a happy hump day, is our good friend of the show, the Madman. Semper Buffos here, as is DB, Pete Stracklich, Roger Perdome, W. Forge, Mike, Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police is also in the house. And I would take a guess we might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D lurking in the shadows as one of our chat moderators alongside the Madman. She of the glittery banhammer, Sarah D, not the Madman, because I think the man part lets you know that the Madman's a man. Wouldn't it? Because it would be Mad Woman if it was not. Anyway, welcome everybody. I see Kevin R. Smith is popping on in also. So we're going to dive right on into the news because yesterday, Modiphius Entertainment launched a Kickstarter to crowdfund the 6mm science fiction miniatures game Horde War. Here's the scoop, and I got to be honest, I just have to say the title in a certain way. You'll hear in just a second. It's 2100. The time of wars with soft assets is over, making way for hardware warfare. Horde War is a fast-paced tactical war game set in a realistic sci-fi universe at the turn of the 22nd century. Using an innovative dice resolution system and 6mm scale miniatures, Horde War creates Brutal combat between mech, vehicle, and air elements, mixing classic armored warfare with futuristic experimental weapons, cybernetics, electronic warfare, and sentient combat swarms for strategic flexibility. Players take on the roles of corporations, paramilitary contractors, or even revolutionary leaders, fighting dynamic battles for financial and political supremacy. Starting with a company of 6 to 10 models each, players use cunning tactics. I've got some cunning tactics, me lord. And awesome firepower to destroy their opponent's forces and complete objectives in a series of gripping, interconnected scenarios. Models, known as elements, get 2 action tokens, and commanders take it in turn to activate one element and can choose from a number of actions. To make an attack, the attacker rolls a number of d12s equal to the element's attack rating. The defender rolls a pool of d12s based on their defense rating. The attacker's target number is the range in inches to the defending element, plus the defender's armor rating and any cover. Rolls of 12 explode, letting each side roll an extra die for each 12. Any defender's dice that match the attacker's dice cancel the dice out. Each group of remaining attacker dice that can be assembled that equal or exceed the target number generate a hit. And if the group includes a double, it's a critical hit. The defender marks the damage on one of the element's abilities as well as the main damage track. If there are any critical hits, the attacker can choose which ability takes the hits. There are different results for reducing each of the ability tracks, ranging from immobility, disabling an element, or even destroying it. If the damage exceeds the remaining number on the main damage track, the element is eliminated. There is a very short, about a minute in length, Kickstarter video, so let's give it a peek.
Syndicate Task Force.
Negotiations collapsed.
Escalation in armed conflict.
Live from the
Peaceful farmland erupted.
Evacuees were escorted. Heavy fire.
Sky is ablaze.
Missiles launched on. Unprecedented destruction.
Hardbots armed with.
Stand no chance against.
Consortium has arrived.
The Kickstarter for Horde War is fully funded. There are a variety of pledge levels. I mean, there are loads of pledge levels, ranging from just getting the rulebook in print and PDF for a pledge of approximately $21, all the way up through the entire offering. So all the models, which they're indicating there's over 97 of them. There are some that are stretch goals to be unlocked. You get terrain, obviously the rules, dice, and more. In fact, right now you're seeing that pledge level with all those goodies. It is approximately $550, although that image said $540 on Kickstarter. It says $550 because of exchange rate. So you can make your pledge through July 31st with an expected delivery on the rule book for February, and the rest to arrive in April of 2026. Well. So who was, Mike says, nice paint job. Oh, those nails. Actually, gotta say, these are pretty cool looking minis. There is an opportunity here. So as an example, you may recall that I shared quite a bit of info over the years for Polyversal from my pal Byron Collins over at Collins Epic War Games. 6mm science fiction, kind of near future, kind of, 22nd century kind of action. There is the ability, if you just want to get miniatures, you can do that as well. So I do want to point that out because there are some science fiction rules out there that are 6mm that people enjoy already. Gotta say, this sounds kind of cool. It really does. And there are a lot of different factions for you to choose from, too. Moving right along, Space Penguin Inc. has released the Cairn 2nd Edition box set. Here's what I know. Are you ready to return to the wood? The definitive 2nd edition of the Indie Underground Classic has been freshly revised and developed and includes an expanded player's guide, a brand new warden's guide, and new adventures in a robust and lavishly illustrated box set packed with useful gaming tools. The Cairn 2E box set includes 3 copies of the player's guide. I thought that was interesting, giving you extra copies for your players. And of course, if you've got more than 3 players at your table and you're the game master, well, yeah, and then they share. Thought that was kind of interesting. Now you get 1 copy of the Warden's Guide because you only have one probably at your game table. 1 zine adventure, Trouble in Twin Lakes, an adventure anthology volume 1, which features 3 new adventures, a warden screen, a character sheet pad, and all you need to do is add dice and you're all set to go. I'm kind of surprised there's no dice in the box set. I would have thought we'd have seen that. Regardless, the Cairn 2E box set with PDFs carries an MSRP of $60. As far as I understand, it is available now. You can order it now. Should also point out, if you were not aware of this, most of the Cairn 2nd edition releases have been available over on DriveThruRPG for quite some time. Since I think late last year, if I remember correctly, and they're free. Zoinks! What? You heard me. They are free. Now, I'm not trying to steal any thunder from Space Penguin Inc. because those are physical copies. And from my understanding, it's a pretty hefty box that you're going to get. But if you are interested in the player's guide, the warden's guide, the adventure, those are all absolutely free in PDF over at DriveThruRPG. Give them a peek. Now, I had the 1st edition of Cairn, and to me, it was fine. I can see why there are a lot of folks out there who are creating adventures for it, but it was a little too light. I think it was just a little too light for my personal liking, but I think this has been expanded out a bit. Now, there is a spider coming by. Yeah, I don't know if he was on. He was off a little bit to the side here. Oh no, he's coming back up again. Oh no, is he gonna be, hang on. Hold on a second. Hang on a second. You might be able to see him. He's not. Probably saw a little blob. Gotta move it around. Yes, because it's the kingdom of spiders. I have to say, it's really the 2nd spider I've seen down here so far this spring/summer. So I am not complaining. Because there have been some years it was like, oh my God. But then I do spray mint around, which is, it doesn't hurt the spiders. It just kind of makes them go away. All right, Kathy Evans is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. All right, so anyway, just so you know, Cairn 2nd edition box set, Space Penguin Inc., $60. And when we go to our brief intermission, I will be gently removing this spider because he's just going up and down, like right near the camera. So anyway, moving right along. I should say there is a new bundle of holding which features World Anvil Publishing's Broken Tales, the dark, twisted fairy tales role-playing game. And I've got the deets on the deal. Hunter! This all-new Broken Tales bundle presents the English language rulebook and supplements for Broken Tales, the tabletop fantasy role-playing game of upside-down fairy tales from Italian game publisher, the World Anvil Publishing. In Broken Tales, the savior child asked the king of fairy tales to redeem and reform villains like Bluebeard, Baba Yaga, the Queen of Hearts, Krampus, the Boogeyman, and the Big Bad Wolf. But the one who plots in the shadows corrupted the child's wish. Yes, the villains became good, but any light needs a shadow, and in turn, the heroes became evil. The old tale shattered, now in 18th century broken Europe, infused with magic and mysticism. The former villains have become hunters, reluctantly serving the Order, a powerful papal secret society. As hunters, you use your incredible abilities to counter the broken tales. One-time good guys, now twisted and darkened, like Iskra, the young wolf, Red Riding Hood, Carlo, the living puppet, Beauty and her beast, Alice of other worlds with her shadowy lynx, Cheshire, Morgana, Mulan, the gang of pigs, and Goldilocks and her war bears. Broken Tales adapts the narratist Monad Echo rule system for fiction-first storytelling of twisted scenarios, almost as dark, brutal, and blood-soaked as the original fairy tales that inspired them. For just $9.95, you'll get all three titles in the fully intact Broken Collection with a retail value of $47 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete 268-page Broken Tales core rulebook, plus the free quick start, the Monad Echo SRD, a soundtrack, the exclusive Fox and Cat playbook, the storyteller screen, and the character expansion, The Broken Ones. These savings will run through July 21st. You may recall I did a first look at Broken Tales. I did not do a review, and I will explain why I didn't do a review. I found it to be a very interesting concept. In execution, it's very, very much a storytelling game. And I just didn't like its approach. So the reality is, I don't want to say it would have gotten a negative review. It would have gotten a lackluster review. Although, I got to say, the concept itself, very, very cool. The characters, very, very cool. Just, I didn't care for the execution. But you know what? I got to be honest. It's probably just me, and other people too. But I mean, just my way of approaching things. It just, sometimes some of the European role-playing games, I just don't connect with. And that was the case with Broken Tales. But I wanted to share this bundle of holding because this is a rockin' deal. I think just the PDF for the core book over at DriveThruRPG is $20, something like that. So there you have it. There you have it. All right, let's see. Agile Monk is with us in chat. Let's see who else. I think I said hello to Kathy Evans. If not, hello. I believe I have said hello to everybody who is in chat tonight. Moving right along, we've been discussing the new edition of the Laundry role-playing game from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. Tonight, let's talk about Black Bag Jobs Reopened. Some cases can never be closed. some doors can never be locked. Black Bag Jobs Reopened revises some of the classic adventures for the Laundry role-playing game, along with new missions to provide a host of assignments for your unsuspecting operatives. Life in the Laundry, Her Majesty's Occult Services, can involve a lot of tedious desk work, and when sinister forces try to break into our reality to gain information, like an alien black bag operation, working for the Laundry can suddenly become exciting, dangerous, and terrifying. There are 6 exciting adventures that send Laundry operatives around the world and beyond on thrilling and deadly missions. There are adventure hooks and additional adventure ideas to inspire game masters and lead to new missions. You've got heroic agents, menacing villains, and otherworldly threats, and more reports to file to claim those expenses. The 144-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $25.99. As of right now, there are no pre-orders for the physical books from Cubicle 7 Games. So I'm expecting that soon. Usually, that kind of corresponds with the physical books coming out, that we will see the pre-order for physical books. It's usually about 6 months, 7 months after the PDF comes out is when we'll normally see the physical releases. I got to say, I'm curious about this. I would like to take a peek at this. I mean, granted, if I wanted to take a peek at the PDFs, I can easily do that. In fact, there are some folks out there who have already reviewed this new edition of the Laundry in PDF. You know me, I only do video, and I don't like doing PDF reviews in video. So you'll have to wait, folks. You'll have to wait. Pete Stracklight says Laundry reminds them of the Archer HQ. Far more people working for the Laundry than Archer. Sterling Archer for president. I have a t-shirt from, I want to say, I think it's all the way back 2016. It's a Sterling Archer for president t-shirt. I still wear it from time to time. All right, let's talk about our final news piece, because the Dolmen Wood campaign book is out in PDF. I've got the lowdown from Necrotic Gnome. The complete referee's guide to running campaigns in the beguiling realm of Dolmen Wood. Dolmen Wood is a weird fairy tale adventure game conjuring the wonder, horror, whimsy, and strangeness of British folklore. This 464-page PDF includes mysterious lore of the Standing Stones, ley lines, lost shrines, fairy roads, wood gods, fairy nobles, and ancient history. 7 major factions: the Chaos Godling Atunawe, the Wicked Fairy Cold Prince, the Sorceress Droon, the Human Nobility, the Bregel Nobility, the Plurtine Church, and the Enigmatic Witches. 12 settlements detailed with beautiful maps, major sites, and important NPCs. Expanded procedures for weather, getting lost, encountering monsters, fishing, foraging, and hunting. 200 pages of fantastic locations waiting to be explored. Hundreds of magical artifacts, from enchanted oddments to magical fungi to holy relics. Easy to reference presentation designed to minimize prep time and page flipping. Capacious crosslinks with rich indexes, page references, and clickable PDF maps, as well as a starter adventure to get you right into the action. Now, keep in mind, this contains adult themes and elements of horror, so it may not be suitable for children. Now, this is the second of 3 core books that you do need to dive on into Dolmen Wood, alongside the Player's Book and the Monster Book. This 364-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $30, which is a solid deal. It's a solid deal these days for a PDF. The player's guide is, if I remember correctly, I think it was something like 290 some pages, 280 something, $15. That's kind of cool too. Kind of cool. All righty. So that is it for the news this evening. Of course, I've mentioned DriveThruRPG a few times. Don't forget the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And goes a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. If you like this video, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always help support the outlet in one of two ways. First off, you can make a one-time donation by way of PayPal. There is a link in the show notes. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Or you can become a monthly supporter by becoming a member of our Patreon. And every show, I like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. At our $5 level, we've got Gustavo Cavalho, Jason Lawman, Kuval, Kevin R. Smith, Marius Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzek. Our $10 members, Dan Webb, Game Cat, who I saw popped into chat. I might have forgotten to say hello, so hello, Game Cat. Pete Straklich, RPG Munch, Testy Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM. And let's not forget our $25 level supporters. Both of them are with us in chat tonight. Agile Monk and the Madman. So thank you very much, everyone. It is much appreciated. And of course, if you want to hang with the gang over on Discord, don't miss out. There is an invite link also in the show notes. There's a lot of stuff in the show notes. I'm telling you. Which is good. It's better than just having it empty, right? You go take a look. Oh, read more. And it's like, oh, nothing. Okay. Read more of nothing. No, we usually have quite a bit in the show notes, but there's an invite link to our Discord server down in those show notes. So be sure to take advantage of that. Yes. Chris Lundgren's popped on into chat. Good to see you once again. He's saying hello for himself, his wife, Louisa, and Buddy, the cockatiel. So Chris Lundgren asks, is the keeper screen helpful for Call of Cthulhu? Okay. So those of you who watch relatively religiously probably already know this. I don't tend to use a Game Master screen ever. Every once in a while, I pull one out just to use one, just to have it out there. But for the most part, I don't. But if you're a Game Master who utilizes a Game Master screen, yes, I would definitely say it is useful. The Keeper's screen from Chaosium Inc. is pretty nicely done. It's got the stuff you need. It really does. So it's not one of those kind of Game Master screens that you pick it up and then you're like, seriously, really? You took up one panel with that? Like names. And I understand why they'll have random names and that. I get it. I understand why they've put it on there. Usually I think there's probably better things, more important than that. DB also points out that the Call of Cthulhu screen comes with some good adventures. Yeah, that's a selling point of just about any game master screen as well, is that you will find some adventures there too. Pete Strackwood says they use the screen only to hide their notes. Their die rolls are always rolled openly. Normally what I would do is I have a second chair next to me. So if I'm utilizing a book or something, that'll be on my lap. Sometimes I have a tablet I'll be using. So I'll have that on my lap. And then I will have normally a short box top sitting on a chair next to me that will a lot of times have notes, as well as that's where I'll roll dice. So, but I have been moving more to publicly rolling dice than I had in the past. Although the reality is, in Call of Cthulhu, there are times where you need to, as the keeper, make die rolls for the players. Because, like, for an example, if they're trying to spot a hidden item, right? They're trying to use their spot hidden. Well, you don't want them to necessarily know, well, no, there's nothing there, or yes, there is something there, but sadly, you rolled too high. So anyway, Chris says, yeah, they normally need a screen to be focused. Daryl Errett's with us tonight. Welcome. Klontos has popped on into chat too. Howdy, gang. Just a reminder, no show tomorrow. So that is going to be kind of like my holiday, because I am going to be traveling for 4th of July. So there is that. So we'll probably go a little bit longer tonight. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how things go. Anyway, we're going to move on and take a look at Horde Wars Advanced from Blackwall Games in just a few moments. But last night we were talking about Cubicle 7. So yes, things have been ironed out with Cubicle 7, which I figured would, because I know what the issue is. And the issue isn't with, like, my friends at Cubicle 7 Games. So I figured we'd, straighten things out. And then I had mentioned that somebody had emailed me, and they forwarded on an email string. They'd reached out to Troll Lord Games asking, how come I'm not covering Troll Lord Games anymore? And I said, I'll get into that and so on and so forth today. They watched last night's show. They sent me an email and they said, well, they'd rather not get involved. And I'm like, hey, I completely understand. You were kind of sending me this email chain. There's only their email to Troll Lord Games, the response from Troll Lord Games, and then this person's response to that email. So I understand that too. I mean, I get it. But as I had pointed out, because I know there are people out there who are like, oh, it's okay, Jeff, okay, what's the deal? So I'm going to leave that part out. But if you've been watching, I had mentioned that, it was radio silence again from Troll Lord Games. And this was the third time that I had gone months without hearing anything from them. And I was emailing them asking questions about different things and like what was going on with the Foundry module that they were working on, what was up with the starter sets. They had some new adventures that came out. I think they had a new engineering book come out. Well, booklet, I guess. And I got absolutely no response. None whatsoever. And I even took a look to see, well, when was the last time I had an email from anybody at Troll Lord Games? And I had 2 contacts. And when I would send an email, I would CC one of the other contacts. So both of them were receiving copies of the emails. And I went back and it was like, I think December of last year was the last time I had received any sort of email from them. And it was in response to a question I had had at that point about Foundry and what was going on, because that, when I had interviewed Steven Chenault at Gamehole Con, he was figuring it was going to be out by Thanksgiving. It wasn't. I guess the player's handbook is out now. I don't know. So anyway, so I emailed again. This isn't too long ago. This, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I emailed, and once again, I got absolutely no response. Now, I would get emails about their releases. So if you get their newsletter, you know that this year it's like more than one email every day from Troll Lord Games. I mean, some people out there I know are starting to get a little ticked off about it, because it's like, yeah, but they're not the only company that does it. I've seen other companies that got a Kickstarter running, and every day you get 2 emails giving you updates about the Kickstarter that you are not even backing. And you're like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I was kind of ticked off, because if I would share a news piece, their one, I'm assuming, marketing person, PR person, would share it on social media. And they would actually say, oh, big thanks to Jeff McAleer at the Gaming Gang for sharing the news piece about whatever. But they wouldn't answer any of my emails, nor were they sending anything. So I was like, well, yeah, it is, this kind of starting to feel like this is a one-way street here, which just does not fly with me. So I sent an email and I said, this is the 3rd time that things have gone completely silent on Troll Lord Games' end. So that leads me to believe you just have no interest in me working with you guys. And I said, don't worry about responding to this email, because you haven't responded to any emails so far this year. And that was it. That was it. So I'm not mad at anybody. I think sometimes if I say something, because I'm very transparent, I wear my emotions on my sleeves. But if I say something critical about a company, I'm not like mad at them. I'm not mad at the people at the company. I'm just criticizing something about that company. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's like I said, I'm not mad at anybody from Troll Lord Games. I'm disappointed, because I thought the Gaming Gang did a pretty good job of promoting Castles and Crusades. There are a lot of folks out there who knew nothing about that game, who made purchases based on my videos and talking about it. So I don't know what to tell you, but that's where it lies. So do not expect an interview suddenly out of nowhere at Gen Con with Steven or anybody from Troll Lord Games, because it basically looks like they've just kind of washed their hands of me. So I guess I wash my hands of them. So that's it. That's all it goes. Clanto says they're pushing their backpack reforged. I think that ended today. Oh yeah, Clanto said, yeah, this was the last day. Clanto said they let Steven know that they found Castles and Crusades because of me. Way I look at it, and I will make this pretty quick so we can get into our first look. the way I look at it is what keeps the lights on here are review copies of stuff and sometimes interviews, but not so much. A lot of times I do interviews just kind of as a favor to a publisher. But what keeps the lights on are companies sending review copies that I then share videos of and that you guys watch. That's it. That's how things run. So when a company is just continuing to send news pieces and I'm sharing that news with, you got to remember the gaminggang.com pulls in, we're approaching the level of 2 million unique visitors per year. We're at about 1.7. So people come to the website, people read the news pieces. I say it all the time. The video aspect of the Gaming Gang isn't what most people know. Most people know the website because it's been around. We're in our 15th year right now. But when a company just doesn't send review copies and then they just keep sending news, then it's sort of like, okay, this is looking like it's like a one-way street here. It's like, it's not free to keep the website going. It's not free to produce these videos. Anyway, so just saying. Agile Monk says, Jeff, you've done a great job promoting Troll Lord Games and Castles and Crusades and Amazing Adventures. I haven't really promoted Amazing Adventures. I didn't really care much for the core book. And I think the author of the core book was not happy about that. So I think maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. I know some folks were like, hey, I hope it wasn't the There Is No Woke Mob video. No, because remember, this goes back to like the new year. So anyway, I don't know. Pete Strackledge says they can count the amount of books in their collection that wouldn't be there without your reviews, Jeff. Very nice. Very cool. Robert Santon is with us once again. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. All right. So tonight we're going to dive on in and take a look at Horde Wars Advanced from Blackwall Games. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Pizza. Real Italian pizza. Crispy crust loaded with spicy tomato sauce. Mozzarella, Parmesan, Gigante, Provolone, Cheddar, Romano cheeses. And mushroom or pepperoni. Fresh ingredients, fresh baked. Pepe's Pizza at the concession stand now. It's ready when you are.
They're at the movies, it's a big date. They love their popcorn, look what they ate. This kind of action, the main attraction. Oh boy, ain't love grand. He's buying lots of goodies, ice cream, Pepsi, and peanuts too. Living on love's not easy, you need your strength to woo. Now he returns, what's this she yearns? Refreshing Pepsi, a kiss he earns. Romance and pleasure, and for good measure, thirst-quenching Pepsi, for those who think young.
Wilkins Coffee's good coffee. Boy, what a bad commercial. The commercial may be bad, but the coffee's wonderful.
My chair.
She will not die because she willed not to die.
Ligeia, the tale of terror Edgar Allan Poe thought his greatest. The masterfully macabre performance of Vincent Price together bring to life the undead, to haunt the living. What is the strange infatuation that draws a lady to the Stygian stranger who lives with his terrifying black cat? In a castle of dark, somber mystery.
Seeing you and seeing her.
Yet when you thought I was Ligeia, you tried to attack me.
You must trust me. Give over your will to mine. No harm will come to you. Give over your will to mine.
The strangest love story ever told, making her life a nightmare of heart-stopping horror, such as few humans have ever survived.
There you go. You don't even have to watch the movie. You saw the trailer. It told you everything going on. There you go. Pete Straklich says, my kind of flick. Is this Hammer? No, Roger Corman. So period movies that were Edgar Allan Poe, a lot of times just, I don't even know how they could say it was based on an Edgar Allan Poe tale. Those tended to be Roger Corman, especially if it's got Vincent Price in it. Okay, so I kind of made fun of it a little bit, and it's funny. They keep showing the cat. The cat's just like, I'm just sitting here, not really doing anything. Of course, he throws a rock, or I should say she, like throws a rock at his wife, hits her. Now I know she's supposed to jump at her, but can barely see it. Anyway, it is actually a fairly decent movie. It's one of the better Poe movies, at least in my opinion, from Roger Corman. So, I mean, it's not Mask of the Red Death, but it's not bad. It's all right. It's fairly decent. It's entertaining. I'll put it to you that way. So if you go looking on Tubi, I don't know if it's there, but I am giving it a thumbs up. Little Britain and Raven have joined us in chat. Welcome. Welcome to you both. So some folks were talking about how much money that they've spent based on my reviews. I'll tell you what, you can disagree with my reviews because, as I say all the time, they're just opinions. All a review is an opinion. Everybody's got different tastes, things like that. But one thing I pride myself on, I have never had anyone tell me that I completely misled them into buying something that turned out to be unlike how I described it. Chris Langren says they watched the Dunwich Horror. Supposed to be Lovecraft. Weird movie. Yes. If you want to get the better of the Lovecraft adaptations, Reanimator. Of course, don't watch that with the kids. From Beyond is all right. That's not too bad. I'll tell you what, when they did the Masters of Horror, I was trying to remember the name of the series that was on. I think it was on, was it HBO? No, I thought it was Showtime. Well, regardless, it was on cable. And the director who did From Beyond and Reanimator did Tales in the Witch House. And that was pretty good too. That was pretty good. DB says Dagon is pretty good. That I have not seen. Is that the one where it's the guy in the, what's it like, gas station bathroom or rest stop bathroom, something like that? I heard, I'm trying to remember the name of it. And it's got J.K. Simmons. Is it J.K.? Anyway, Daryl Errett said, I only bought one title the last year without Jeff's approval. Well, I'm glad you're running it by me first. All right. Anyway, so move right along. Tonight, we're going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at Horde Wars Advanced from Blackwall Games. This softcover carries an MSRP of $50. That's what we'll be taking a peek at. There is a hardcover. It is $70. If you want to grab just the PDF, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $20. As WForge asks if anybody remembers Cast a Deadly Spell. Yes, with Fred Ward, who I always liked. So, yes, Captain Infinity Time Travel Police says, J.K. Simons, what, you're serious? Yeah, I am. I'm serious. I can't remember the name of the movie because I haven't seen it, but it has been recommended to me because it's very, very Lovecraftian. And yes, I remember Cast a Deadly Spell, where he's Fred Ward is H.P. Lovecraft, but H.P. Lovecraft is a private investigator. It's kind of silly. All right. Anyway, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Horde Wars Advanced. Do want to mention the fine folks over at Blackwall Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of Horde Wars Advanced, but I do want to give you a good idea of what you're going to find inside. Taking a look at the back here, there is nothing on the back for me to read. So we're going to dive right on in. First off, paper quality's solid. It's pretty good. And for a second, I thought, it does have not really much of a sheen to it, although the ink kind of has a bit of a pop to it. That's pretty wild. All right, so first off, let's take a look at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. So it looks like we've got quite a bit in here. It looks like we're clocking in about 290 as far as our page count. Well, maybe more than that. Maybe about 300. So we've got our game rules. Then we move into our character creation, character species, careers, skills, features, equipment, Kingdoms in Warfare, Nautical Adventures, Game Master, and then it appears that the vast majority of the page space here is going to be devoted to beasts, monsters, and NPCs, as well as our treasure. We get a sample adventure in a village, and then we wrap up with information about the setting. Now, I do understand, I believe that this uses 12-sided dice. Okay, core rules. Core mechanic of Horde Wars is roll 1d12, adding the relevant attribute or skill and any bonuses. Then compare the result to the difficulty category of the task. You know, it's kind of interesting. We have seen more games coming out utilizing the 12-sided die as the core mechanic. We've got the Land of Eam, which I love, I think is excellent. If I remember correctly, Grit also used the 12-sided die. Grit was fun. It is now in someone else's hands because they bought it during the spring used game sale. So let's see. We have attribute checks, circumstance bonuses. So you can get a +2 circumstance bonus, or equipment and supernatural bonuses. So it looked almost like it was getting into almost like a glossary there for a moment. So Agile Monk says it's an excellent book. They have it. Kevin R. Smith says it says D12 system on the cover. So yeah, but what I'm curious is that the only die that we use? So there you go. Got our turns and rounds, movements, actions. You can use one action on your turn. An action can be used for a variety of things, such as attacking, moving again, using an ability, or using a skill to perform a task. These tasks might include anything from picking a lock to breaking down a door. So this is supposed to be a medieval sort of setting. Nope, we use other dice because here I see we've got 1d4. So I guess just normal set of polyhedral dice. When combat begins, each player at the table rolls a d12. Well, actually, it says each person. Each player adds his character's reflexes attribute to his die roll. The Game Master adds the highest reflexes attribute available among their opponents to his die roll. The person with the highest result goes first. It's called rolling for turn order. Player always wins a tie with the Game Master for rolling for turn order. If one or more players tie, let them decide. I wonder if we go around the table. Beginning with the person who won turn order, continue taking turns. There you go, clockwise around the table. That's kind of cool. I'm trying to remember, what is the game? Is it, no, it's not. I was going to say, is it Dragonbane? No. There's a game where, is it index card role playing, where the order around the table is the order that the characters act? I think it is index card role playing. So we have death and dying. Whenever a creature takes damage, he loses that many hit points. Hit points are not calculated past 0. Most creatures die once they've reached 0 hit points. Player characters and important NPCs operate under the following rule. When the character is reduced to 0 hit points, roll 1d4 this how many rounds until they bleed out and die. So I'm going to take a guess. You have to restore some hit points. So some discussion about Hyperborea. Oh, I see we've got a bit of Lovecraft going on. Lovecraft discussion. Everybody's favorite stories. Mine is At the Mountains of Madness. That is my absolute favorite. And it's really more science fiction than horror. And there is an excellent, I think it was BBC 4 that had, because funny enough, here in the United States, radio drama is deader than Caesar. In the UK, in Europe, it's still something people listen to all the time. It is just something that's part of their normal daily, like daily, what the hell am I trying to think of here? Schedule? Anyway. But there is an awesome adaptation that the BBC did of At the Mountains of Madness. And I have it on thegaminggang.com. It was one of our spooktacular, there, Agile Monk says, culture. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I edited the commercials and everything out. And it is excellent. They also did Shadow over Innsmouth, but they keep calling it Innsmouth. And it's like, no. So, all right, so we got wind and weather, object challenges. When an object presents a challenge within the game world, you can use your action to attempt to defeat the challenge or destroy the object by making an appropriate skill check against the object's DC. For example, a character with lock picks could use his burglary skill to attempt to pick the lock on a treasure chest. A dragon could use his combat skill to try ripping it open with his claws. If the game master determines that your method of defeating an object challenge is impossible, it automatically fails. So then we have some durability ratings for stuff. Well, as far as the core rules go, pretty simple. From my understanding, I believe Horde Wars Advanced also has some domain play in here. That is a big selling point for it. So for player characters, creating your character, pick your species. You also have fighting styles, which it just looks like weapons, languages, calculate your hit points. So it's 18 plus your fitness attribute. Choose 2 careers. They gain all the starting abilities listed for both careers. Choose your skills. Choose additional fighting styles and languages, I guess, if you get them based on your careers. Starting equipment, carrying capacity. And looks like that is the run. And it's showing what happens beyond first level. So it takes 12 experience points to gain a new character level. Each successful adventure yields 2 to 4 experience points, depending on difficulty and duration. Sometimes a player will be awarded an additional experience points at the MVP of a given adventure. This could be for role-playing or for combat prowess. So we have perks. So here we've got our species. We got humans, dwarves. So it looks like our attributes, we have 4. Fitness, reflexes, senses, and willpower. Humans get no bonuses. Dwarves get +3 fitness. There's got to be something that the humans get. Because I was going to say, if everybody gets a +3 in something, but no negatives, it's like, some discussion of the Lord of the Rings radio drama. I remember listening to that on NPR, just like I remember listening to Star Wars. You know, funny enough, there are 2 audio dramas of the Lord of the Rings. One was NPR, and then there's another one I think was from just some small, like production company. I think it was sold as cassette tapes. So there's our halfling and orc. So those are our species. There might be more in, I guess, future supplements or so forth. To my knowledge, there are 2 books right now for Horde Wars. There's Horde Wars Advanced, and there is also Horde Wars Basic. And Basic is available in PDF. It's, I want to say it's $7 on DriveThruRPG. And I think it's probably more just the character creation, the rules, maybe a little bit of the bestiary and such. So here are our careers, I guess. We've got the Blade Master, Crusader, Deep Delver. A Deep Delver is an adventurer and an explorer who seeks out valuable artifacts. Deep Delvers spend most of their time traversing ancient ruins, underground caverns, and other exotic locales. Their skills: combat, language, and a skill of your choice. And you get Trap Springer. You gain Investigate as a bonus skill. In addition, double your burglary and or investigate skill on skill checks made to bypass, disable, or locate traps. Exploit weakness, object history. So it says that is an action. Choose an object within close range. You get a vision of the last time a creature touched that object. Starting equipment. We get capstones. So Crypt Raider and Dungeon Breaker. Got the Huntsman, Knight, Mercenary. Looks like we've got a lot of various different careers. The Monk, the Priest, the Scald, the Tavern Wench. Okay. A tavern wench has spent a lot of her life working at a bar, inn, or tavern, thus the name. Tavern wenches know the people of the area and are excellent at manipulating and flirting with strangers for profit. So their skills are commerce, intuition, and a skill of their choice. They get Wink and Nod. You gain Deception as a bonus skill. In addition, double your Deception skill on skill checks made to distract or misdirect other creatures. We've got Alluring Gaze. A non-hostile creature of your choice within close range must succeed on a DC 10 willpower check, or he is enticed into following you for the next 1d4 rounds or until they take damage. And then Evasion. When you're not wearing heavy armor, which normally I don't think a tavern wench would be, the first attack that would hit you during each round of combat misses instead. Well, that sounds like a pretty powerful ability there. Thief, Viking, Warlord, Blue Wizard, Brown Wizard, got a Gray Wizard, Red Wizard, White Wizard. Looks like they specialize in different magic. So the White Wizard looks like it's all ice and freezing. Red is flame and heat. We get into our skills. Although we're seeing festivals, events. So I guess that was just a little section there was about skills. There's got to be a section later on showing the skills. This seems to be giving us a little bit of a background on the setting here. And then is this combat? Oh no, features, because that's something else they get. Beast Ragwood says that class is covered in red flags. Gotta love it. I approve it for my table. Daryl Aaron says Tavern Wench needs a different kind of protection. Matthew Constantine's with us in chat says, Tavern Wench, someone channeling Gary Gygax? Agile Monk says, if you get the Horde Wars Advanced, you're all set. Yes, as far as I know, everything is in one book. This looks kind of interesting. I'll tell you what, this might sound weird for me to mention, but just looking through this, I would almost say that if you've ever been kind of interested in Harn as a setting, not necessarily Harn Master as a, rule system, because it is super crunchy. I think, because this is supposed to be medieval fantasy, this might work really nicely with Harn World. Because Harn World is system agnostic. So Kevin R. Smith says if they were channeling Gygax, it would be called the Slovenly Troll. Oh, I don't know. A tavern wench doesn't have to be slovenly. DB says, oh, Jeff, don't diss on the Harn. I'm not dissing on Harn. I like Harn. People are scared off by Harn. We've talked about that before. And one of the reasons why they're scared off is price. I know that. Sadly, we really don't see any bundles ever pop up. Agile Monk says, it goes great with Harn World. Nailed it. Harn is awesome. Yeah, I like Harn a lot. I like Columbia Games. I haven't talked to Grant Dalglish in a while. I wonder if they're going to be at Gen Con. Maybe we'll put together another interview just last minute there. I will say one thing, taking a peek through the presentation seems to be a little bit all over the place. So here, this is travel. Okay, now we're going to get into beasts. Doesn't look like a ton of artwork, but the artwork throughout, pretty solid. And, okay, the folks over at Blackwall Games are going to be like, Jeff, you're looking at Horde Wars Advanced, not Harn. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of the artwork that you find in Harn, which is really nice line art. Okay, so these are just regular creatures. Game, fish. Unleash the Kraken. Matthew Constantine says, Harn is one of those settings like Glorantha where I think I'd like to play in a game run by someone who's really into it, but it might be a bit much for me if I'm going to be the one running it. Oh, that's a really nice piece of artwork there of the Phoenix. So we've got their defense, their hit points, flying speed, size. So we don't necessarily have like attribute scores. We have bonuses. So here the Phoenix has reflexes +5, willpower +5. Has protection from piercing and solar. It's immune to fire. It's got standard perception. It's got skills, athletics, combat, intuition, and survival with its bonuses. Traits. Fires of Rebirth, supernatural. First time it's reduced to 0 hit points each day, it regains its full maximum hit points instead of dying. Mirage, the first attack that would hit you each round misses instead. I guess the hit would be against the Phoenix, right? I guess that's a trait. We might have a section that's all traits. So I would take a guess player characters could have traits as well. We also have Revenant. If you've been reduced to 0 hit points within the last day, you deal an extra die of damage on all attacks. Maneuvers, it's got a Phoenix beak. Make an attack for 2d10 solar damage. If you score a critical hit, roll an extra die of damage. Then it's got Talon attack and Scorching Ray. And then this little box here is giving us a little bit of background about it. Tell you what, as far as a bestiary, this is pretty packed. We're getting, 2 entries? As soon as I say that, it's one single page. Although I guess this is a big bad monster. Torvek the Earthshaker. Looks like a dragon. I wonder if the dragons are very rare in this. That'd be kind of cool, right? So here we have Delmoth the Destroyer. That is also a dragon. But the smaller, enemies out here, it looks like we're getting a couple of entries on each page. So here we've got the Drakarin, look like they're the lizard men. So we've got the Dragon Priest, we got the Slaver, Commander, Gladiator. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed looking through this, considering this is, I believe, just a couple of creators who put this together. Matthew Constantine says, Horde Wars Basic is listed at $35. Well, the website is blackwallgames.com. I did not look to see what Basic runs simply because this is advanced. So I would think for an extra $15. Now remember, this is the soft cover, so this is $50. That's a pretty decent deal. Paying $15 for what looks more than likely to be a lot more page space. Pete Stracklich says, I'm enjoying the lack of censorship in this. It's getting better and better. I wouldn't necessarily say censorship. It's because it's like, okay, so, all right. So we saw Slaver. We saw Tavern Wench. I mean, I wasn't freaking out, but I understand what you're trying to say, Pete Stracklich. There doesn't seem to be the same amount of political correctness. Chris Leineren says the website, when they went, is not working. Well, remember, it's blackwallgames.com. I was on it earlier, so I don't know. Maybe I broke it. All right, so we got human wizards, white wizard apprentice, gray court wizard. Looks like this is a named NPC. Maybe that means we don't have a lot of magic in this setting. Like I said, this is kind of, well, I shouldn't say kind of, this is a medieval fantasy role-playing game, right? So looks like this is, we got a bunch of tables now. Oh, treasure. Okay, so we had treasure there. So following up the bestiary, so we got artifacts and books, or I should say artifact books and tomes. Book of Blue Wizardry, Book of Red Wizardry. It looks like we have crowns as our currency here. There might be more than one type of currency. I would take a guess crowns might be our default gold. Chris Lundgren says, I have it as Blackwall Games. Yeah, I have to fix the live stream. That's why I said Blackwall Games. But yeah, when I put that info together last night, I was in a hurry. So just telling you. That's why every once in a while you'll see the live stream info is kind of off. But then once the stream is gone live and that, it's Yeah, the misspellings and stuff like that are corrected. Right, so this looks like now we're going to get into our setting. So some of the different regions. Do we just have a map? We probably did. I'm sure we had a map. The Estrons, or Eastrons. The land of the Estrons is covered in forests and hills with patches of grassy plains. Isolated hamlets and villages dot the landscape. Each tribe is ruled by its own king or queen and several local chieftains. They are rarely at peace with each other. When enemies are spotted, the rumble of war drums alerts nearby settlements. So it gives us the ruler, organization, tribes. What are its main exports? Do they have specialized soldiers? I bet you though, well, I was going to say, I bet you they're in the bestiary. Maybe not. Primary language. And then we've got the culture. And then we have some, looks like places of interest. This is a village. That's a village. This is a Blackstone ziggurat. Huh. I will say you are getting your money's worth. This is loaded down with a lot of stuff. I think these are example characters. So here we've got one. It's an elf, level 1, tier 1. Let's take a look at the front. Yep. Okay. So that's the front of it. So we've got some experience point dots for you to fill in. Speed is combat spaces. So that's 7. So we've got +3 fitness, +4 willpower. They are an archer / assassin. And then the skills: athletics, combat, deception, intuition, stealth, survival. Yeah, interesting elf there, I would say. It's like it's a little more like a drow, right? Kind of getting the impression might be a little bit of an evil character. As you can see, I don't see any sort of alignment, which is cool with me. I have no problem with that. Giving us our languages, protection and immunity, armor, weapon, bronze longbow, hand axe, short sword, and then their fighting styles, which gives them 2+ their combat skill. So that would be, I guess, a +5 on your 12-sided die. All right. So what are we going to wrap up with? Our blank character sheet. There we go. Very, very interesting. Raven says the monster stats and character sheets seem a bit busy. Well, they didn't look too bad. So that is the stat block. So I believe this is one of the dragons. So that is the stat block right there, this column. It's all right. I mean, granted, we're not looking at, OSR brevity, or I should say OSE brevity as far as the entries, but yeah, looks pretty good. I'm looking forward to taking a peek inside this. And of course, I will have a review of Horde Wars Advanced in the not too distant future. Once again, this soft cover can be had for an MSRP of $50. If you want to get it in hardcover, it's $70. If you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG. I will have a link to that PDF. In fact, that link is there right now in the show notes for DriveThruRPG and Horde Wars Advanced. Pretty sweet. I gotta say, like I said, I am intrigued. And as Agile Monk kind of jumped on, seems like this might be a system you'd want to tie into Harn World. Because remember, there is a lot of content out there for Harn World. You've got all these region guides. You've got all these adventures. I mean, there's over 1 million words written for Harn. That's pretty impressive. Now, I'm not trying to tell you, hey, don't get any like supplements for Horde Wars. I just don't think there are any at the moment. All right. So that is it for this time out. Next Tuesday, we are going to continue our Monty Cook Games Month. We are going to dive on in and take a peek at The Darkest House. Funny enough, all the stuff that they sent me from Monty Cook Games is all horror related, which is fine with me. That's cool. So my understanding with this is actually system agnostic. It might kind of tie in with the Cypher system, but you're supposedly able to utilize this with just about any horror role-playing game. We will find out. That's what we're going to take a peek at next Tuesday. Once again, remember, no episode of The Dispatch tomorrow. I'll be traveling for the 4th of July. Very cool. Very nice. All righty. As I mentioned, that's it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only were you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company when I'm sharing the news or, of course, flipping through a book or unboxing a game. But, of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,200 videos here on the channel. Yay. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. I'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my upcoming review of Nightmare on the Necropolis Express for Hudson and Brand, Inquiry Agents of the Obscure from Stygian Fox. Stay tuned for that. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a wonderful 4th of July if you're here in the U.S. Be careful. Stay safe. All right, have a great weekend. Once again, I will be back on Tuesday. I'm Jeff McAleer. Thanks for watching. And as always, I certainly hope every one of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.